In the headlines, bandits kill 2 vigilante members in the Federal Capital Territory. Fire guts documents furniture at National Assembly. OPEC says Nigeria's crude oil production averaged 1.183 million barrels per day in July. And on the foreign scene, European firefighters join battle to stop French wildfires. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. 2 vigilante members have been shot dead during a crossfire with bandits at Gasakwa community in Gao Ward, Abaji Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. A member of the vigilante said the incident happened around 4:30 p.m. on Thursday at a forest bordering the Federal Capital Territory and Niger State. So the vigilantes had mobilized to the forest to rescue a farmer who was abducted on the farm. He said the gunmen laid an ambush as the vigilantes were approaching their hideout, where 2 members of the vigilantes were killed during an exchange of fire with the bandits. He said 4 other vigilantes who sustained bullet wounds were receiving treatment at a private hospital in Lambata, Niger State. The FCT Police Command spokesperson, DSP Ade Josephine, is yet to confirm the incident. Meanwhile, policemen have rescued a prominent businesswoman in Osun State, popularly known as Ero Arike. The woman was kidnapped at Olorunda village while on a visit to her aged mother. The men of the anti-kidnapping squad of the Osun State Police Command engaged the kidnappers in a gun duel and arrested 3 while others escaped. Police Public Relations Officer Osun Command Yemisi Opalola confirmed the incident and assured that the suspects will be arraigned in court after investigation. Speaking after she was rescued, the traumatized businesswoman expressed gratitude to the police, and she appealed to the state government and of course the police to ensure proper investigation and prosecution of the suspects.
They were in the bush. Few minutes after I entered the house, 2 men came in. They covered their faces. They took me into the bush. I was shouting for help. Policemen came on time. The man that carried me kept running into the bush. One of the policemen shot him on his leg. Then he dropped me. The policemen arrested some of them. I plead with the police and government to ensure proper investigation and prosecution of this case.
Meanwhile, cannabis sativa worth 30 million naira has been intercepted by the Nasarawa State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Commander of the agency, Odaudu Oche, made this known in Lafia while parading one of the suspects intercepted with the illicit drug. The report.
Addressing journalists on the recent achievements by the command, Nasarawa State Commander of National Drugs and Law Enforcement Agency, Odaudu Oche, said officers and men of the agency succeeded in arresting a 45-year-old man, Mohammed Adamu, while on patrol in Akonga local government area of the state with vehicle loaded with cannabis sativa.
At about 10:24 hours, officers and men of Akonga Area Command intercepted a white J5 Boxer vehicle with registration number KTG 71XC. The vehicle, which had originated its journey from Ogere, Ogun State, was headed for Bauchi in Bauchi State. Recovered from the vehicle were 1,556 compressed laptop-like parcels of cannabis sativa, popularly known as hemp or wiwi, which weighed 1 ton 659 kilograms.
Onche explained that the driver of the J5 vehicle carrying the illicit drug took to his heel on sighting the officers of the agency, while maintaining that the cannabis sativa seized by the agency is worth 13 million naira. The NDLEA state commander said the command will not relent in ensuring that all drug-related cases are prosecuted to the latter. He pointed out that aside the seizure of the cannabis sativa in Akonga, the agency also made significant arrests of suspects and cannabis sativa worth over 1,500 kilograms in Lafia, the state capital.
In the history of the agency in Nasarawa State is coming on the heels of two similar massive drug seizures recorded in the month of July. Be reminded that on Wednesday, July 6th, a total of 367.6 kilograms of the same cannabis was seized around the Emir's Palace here in Lafia and two suspects arrested. On the 9th, about 3 days later on, a whopping 1 ton and 29.5 kilograms of hemp was seized around the 500 housing unit on Doma Road, Lafia, concealed in a truck for conveying natural gas. The vehicle originated its journey from Edo State, made a stopover in Lokoja to offload part of his cargo before it headed here.
The commander also reiterated that the command is ever ready to rate the state of drug-related businesses, as he commended the resilience of the officers and men of the agency in checkmating the activities of drug dealers and users. The suspect, Mohammed Adamu, who admitted committing the offense, pleaded for mercy and promised to turn a new leaf.
An kama ni a cikin mota na dauko tawa daga Wajere dan kai Bauchi.
He advised drivers who are in the habit of transporting hard drugs to desist from such acts.
And to politics now, where Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress APC in Rivers State, Chris Finebone, has resigned from the party and defected to the ruling PDP in the state. Senator Chris Finebone, who confirmed his defection to PDP to our correspondent in the early hours of Friday, did not give any reason for his defection. Shortly after he defected to PDP, Finebone paid a visit to Governor Nyesom Wike's Ada George Road residence in Port Harcourt in company of the former state chairman of the APC, Dr. Davis Ikanya, and PDP governorship flag bearer, Siminilai Fubara. And Nigeria has not incurred any judgment debt in the last 7 years, but has secured over 1,000 convictions on matters bordering on terrorism. Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, disclosed this on Thursday while speaking to newsmen at the State House, Abuja. Malami also shed more light on the contentious matter of deductions from the Paris Club refund, which put him at odds with the Nigerian governors. Kendi Amodu reports.
Over 1.8 billion naira has so far been generated from sale of bid forms and actual sale of confiscated properties under the Buhari administration. An interministerial committee on the audit and recovery of back years of stamp duty has also recovered about 596.05 million naira so far. But some controversies have trailed activities in the Attorney General's office. For instance, investigations are ongoing into how some of the properties that have been forfeited to the state have been disposed of. It is a matter that the Attorney General chooses not to comment on.
As you rightly know, that subject is indeed a subject being investigated by the EFCC, and it is only natural that we should allow investigation to take its natural course. As the Chief Law Officer, I wouldn't like to be preemptive of any investigative process.
There are also allegations that despite a presidential directive to suspend deduction from the Paris Club refund, the directive has not been fully complied with. But the Attorney General traces the antecedents of the deductions.
So it was the Governors Forum and not the federal government in the first place that engaged the consultant. Two, when eventually successes were recorded associated with the refund associated with Paris Club, the governors collectively and individually presented a request to the federal government for refund. And among the components of the claim presented for the consideration of the federal government was a component related to the payment of these consultants that are now constituting the subject of contention.
He further states that the controversy being generated is because there was a change in the leadership of the Governors Forum.
The new leadership of the Governors Forum instituted an action, fresh action, even when the federal government was indeed acting on the basis of the judgment of the Supreme Court. They now embark on a fresh legal suit, challenging the payment, challenging the previous agreement, challenging the indemnity, and the court dismissed their application.
The Attorney General is hard-hitting in this engagement, saying one of his greatest challenges on the job is how he has been portrayed by the media. His position mirrors the defensive stance of many officials of the Buhari administration, who see the media as a threat rather than a partner in development. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
There was a fire outbreak at the new wing of the House of Representatives on Thursday evening. Director Information, National Assembly, Agada Rawlings Emmanuel, who confirmed the incident in a statement, said the fire incident occurred in one of the janitors located on the second floor, room 227. He said the fire was suspected to have resulted from an electrical fault, which was noticed by one of the staff to the clerk, who promptly alerted the Federal Fire Service unit stationed in the National Assembly complex. You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still to come on the news, how graduate turns shoemaker. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us.
That's great.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now another look at our top stories. Bandits killed 2 vigilantes in Federal Capital Territory. And fire guts documents furniture at National Assembly. And now moving on to other news. The wife of the President, Aisha Buhari, has promised to support and promote breastfeeding among women through regular education and sensitization by emphasizing the health benefits. The First Lady, represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Administration and Women Affairs, Office of the First Lady, Rukayatu Gurin, made the promise Thursday while speaking at an event organized by the State House Clinic to mark World Breastfeeding Week 2022. The two-day event, held at the State House Auditorium and Utako community, had the theme, Step Up Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. Permanent Secretary, State House Tijani Umar, represented by his special assistant, explained that the State House Clinic was designated baby-friendly since 1997, and the Breastfeeding Support Group was inaugurated in 1998. Head of Department of Pediatrics at the State House Clinic, Dr. Rekia Ahmed, and a retired head nurse, Madaki Leda, thanked the Permanent Secretary for his keen interest and financial support, which made the community breastfeeding sensitization outreach a success.
To breastfeed your child exclusively for 6 months and anywhere and any time. You can't tell me that I'm in the market so I cannot breastfeed my child. Anywhere. That is the baby's granary that God has given and has placed it on your case. And anything that is in your case, what do? You need to carry it very well and with pride.
The theme of this year's World Breastfeeding Week 2022 is Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. This emphasizes the importance of actively educating all stakeholders. That is why we chose to be in the community today, where we have the supporting mothers, supporting fathers, families, community chiefs, who are all, here for us to give out effective communication to sustain effective breastfeeding and improve our breastfeeding culture.
Emphasis on exclusive breastfeeding cannot be overemphasized. One, it assists the parent, that's the mom, to bond with the child, because as it is now, most people, because they are busy with the society and other things, they don't find time to sit and relate with the child. So it assists the parents, the mom, to bond with the child. Then economically, it reduces the cost, because as it is, if you say you want to buy food, milk and other things, it will affect some things in the family if you're not buoyant enough.
Policymakers in the energy, oil and gas sector have been encouraged to create and implement strategies for the marginalized women in the sector to thrive. The call was made during an advocacy and communication capacity building to ensure the challenges women in the sector face are addressed through a project advancing women in economic development. The report.
Despite the invaluable contributions of the energy, oil and gas sector to the country's economy, experts say harnessing capacities of all parties involved is lacking. Hence, the need for deliberate inclusion of women in the sector to unlock the potentials therein.
Stimulate our women, the members of women in energy, oil and gas, to start thinking of possibilities, to start thinking of ways we can close the energy gaps, both the gender gap, the energy poverty gap, and the transformational effects of Nigeria hosting that vast resource of energy in the country. So it is not just a gender thing, it's a total, if I may use the word, reformation that cuts across the energy industry.
The industry, from leadership roles in major corporations to jobs in mines and on oil rigs, remains male-dominated, even with the invention of technology. This and more are some of the areas the advocacy and communication capacity building seeks to address in order to guarantee the economic empowerment of women.
Shortfall of the presence of women in the oil and gas sector across board, in terms of leadership, even in terms of participation, in terms of access. Women presence has still not yet been felt 4 decades after the establishment of the oil find in Nigeria. So this group is very timely because they are dealing with issues related to environment, oil and gas mining, and how that affects women and also even the communities where these mining activities do take place.
Only a few women there occupy leadership position. Train these women for them to have better skills, because they have been doing something. But we want them to acquire better skills in order to be more proficient in advocacy.
Demystifying the myth that women would not succeed in the industry, stakeholders believe will help encourage others to go into the sector, as the exploits of women hold brighter prospects for the sector and invariably the economy. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, with the high unemployment rate in the country, youth are often advised to learn skills that will enable them to be self-reliant rather than rely on government. Daniel Isaac, a young graduate, is one of these that heeded the advice by learning shoemaking during his National Youth Service. But with the high inflation and unfavorable business environment, his hopes of growing a viable business is fading. Let's take a look.
Is a graduate of microbiology from the University of Maiduguri. He ventured into shoemaking after his National Youth Service 4 years ago, and this is where he resumes for work every morning.
2018/2019, I did my youth service in Akwa Ibom. It was through that year that I learned the shoemaking. And my uncle here in Abuja rented this place for me. He gave me this place to start with. So I started the shoemaking with the money I got from my youth service.
But like many entrepreneurs in Nigeria, Daniel is struggling to remain in business amidst the energy crisis and poor infrastructure. But that's not the only problem.
I think last 2 weeks I produced some Hermes shoes for someone. Like I produced them and I stamped my name on the Hermes, and the person says no, he won't collect the shoe because it's not Hermes. So, but I'm the one that produced it. But he insisted I have to go and stamp Hermes on the shoe. He even took me to where they will stamp the stamp on the shoe.
According to a report by Chamonix International in 2014, Nigerians import at least 20 million pairs of shoes annually, costing the country hundreds of millions in dollars. With the new exchange rates, Nigerians now pay triple of what they would have paid 7 years ago.
When I went to Lagos to buy my leathers for production, at first I bought some leathers at 100 naira, 150 per square feet. But now it's 500 naira, 600, 700 naira per square feet.
Daniel is weighing the option of venturing into other businesses as growing his shoe business continues to become more challenging.
I was thinking of starting up something. Like I wanted even selling everything, though I didn't want it to clear the dream. But I needed something that can be able to fund the dream. So if we can have stores that will permit us to produce shoes in our own brand.
Revenue in the footwear industry in Nigeria is projected to reach $454,000 in 2022. But a huge chunk of that amount goes to China, while entrepreneurs like Daniel are on the verge of going out of business. Ayuba Ilia, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, said Nigeria's crude oil production increased to an average of 1.183 million barrels per day in July 2022. OPEC made this known in its oil market report for August 2022 on Thursday in Lagos. The report said the figure showed an increase of 7,000 barrels per day when compared with the 1.176 million barrels per day produced averagely in the month of June 2022. The report says Nigeria's July Stanbic IBTC Bank Purchasing Managers Index rose to 53.2% from 50.9% in June amid stronger inflows of new orders. It said this helped to underpin a further improvement in operating conditions in the Nigerian non-oil private sector. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said the federal government is on course to implement a new tariff hike on data and calls. According to her, this will start with the implementation of a 5% excise duty tax on all voice calls, SMS and data services. Special Advisor, Media and Communications to the Minister, Yunus Tanko Abdullahi, in a statement, said this is in addition to the existing 7.5% value-added tax paid for goods and services across all sectors of the economy. The statement further said the federal government made the disclosure on 5% excise duty during a stakeholders meeting organized by the Nigerian Communications Commission, the telecoms industry regulator. According to the statement, the 5% excise duty has been in the Finance Act 2020 but has never been implemented, and henceforth the excise duty will be collected by telecom operators and payment will be made to the federal government on a monthly basis on or before the 21st of every month. And now for a look at the foreign scene, where firefighters from across Europe started arriving in France on Friday to help battle several wildfires, including a giant blaze ravaging pine forests in the southwest of the country. The firefighters brigade from the Gironde region said the spread of the forest fire was limited overnight due to a little wind, but conditions for containing the blaze remain unfavorable due to hot, dry weather. The fire in the Gironde region and neighboring Lens has burned through 74 square kilometers since Tuesday, and that led to the evacuation of at least 10,000 people. More than 360 firefighters and 100 specialized land vehicles were sent from Germany, Romania, Poland, Austria and other countries. They are joining over 1,000 French firefighters already on site to assist in containing the spread. And in sports, the World Cup will start one day earlier than planned on Sunday, 20th November, with host Qatar facing Ecuador. The game due to be played on the 21st of November 2022 as the third game, with Senegal against the Netherlands set to be the opening match earlier that day. Kickoff will be at 1500 GMT, and the tradition of the hosts or holders starting the tournament continues. The proposal followed discussions with Qatar and their opponents Ecuador after receiving a request from the South American Confederation, CONMEBOL. The change will not affect the release dates for players, and Senegal against Netherlands will now be at 1500 GMT on Monday, given only 3 games will be played instead of 4. England's Group B match with Iran, which is being played on the 21st of November 2022, is unaffected, as is Wales' opening match against the United States of America on the same date. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.